I was trying to figure out how to say this gently. I do subscribe to PBS, yes. It's just not Wisconsin PBS, but PBS is nationwide.
It's okay. That's okay. As long as you're giving at least $5 a month to PBS something, they'll give you access to Passport. And kind of the cool thing about this, and my favorite, Joni and I love the All Creatures Great and Small stuff, and their third season just came out, and we blew through all those. We binged through all of those. But the cool thing is with Passport is you can basically stream every episode all at once, so to speak, right? So you can binge if you want to, as opposed to if you're not a member and you don't have access to Passport, you just watch them when they become released and they're available. So one episode at a time. So that's kind of the difference.
Yeah.
So if you're donating anyway, why not take advantage of that, right? I mean, what the heck?
I think I've had Passport for at least 5 years, so.
Have you? Yeah.
Sometimes it gets my time far more than commercial TV.
Yeah, us too. Yeah.
So if you're able to so that'll break down of the prices.
And we just I just scraped these off of the website. There's various websites. I did want to say something, Wayne, about that slide earlier that had the reference document link at the bottom. That's where a lot of like that information. Yeah, go ahead, Bob. That link down there, that's where a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in here in terms of content came and is summarized. One of the things that I would highlight in that document is another link to a spreadsheet that someone has created that has all the services as columns, and then they have all the channels available in the whole world on the rows, and it tells you which services have which channels. So if you're looking for one place to kind of look to see, oh, well, that's the one I need this channel and that channel and this channel and that channel, but I don't need those. That spreadsheet I thought was a really interesting way of trying to get it all in one place and make some easier decisions about channel choice. No, sorry, I should have said that earlier. Apologize for that. Getting out of order.
We covered some of this already, Wayne.
Slightly, yeah. And we had talked about this vast choice of who to select and how much to pay. And that document will help you far more than this slide here. This is kind of this is a teaser. That's what it is. So we're on the next slide. So this slide starts to introduce you to what it takes with your TV and then beyond the TV. We've got a Fire Stick from Amazon that we use, and we use PBS. It turned out to be what are you most comfortable with, who introduced you to what, and that's what you're going to use. Or you've got your kids, your grandkids, they can really explain the gaming devices for you.
Right.
We use a Chromecast at our house. We use Chromecast. That's just, I like it. I like the ability to just bring something up on my phone and then hit the little button that says, push it to the TV. And it just pushes it up there onto the TV. It's pretty cool. But I think the others do that kind of thing too. I'm not sure.
I will say this about the Apple TV. If you're very comfortable with an Apple phone, the Apple TV works just like the Apple phone. The button, it's kind of as you know, your Apple phone is kind of a one button menuing system. It's basically a one button menuing system on your Apple TV as well.
And
it works very similar.
On this slide, we can actually just say what's what on this slide. So I'm pretty sure that the thing in the upper right is a Roku.
That's a Roku device, absolutely.
Right below it is a Chromecast.
Yep.
The next, that's, you were over on the left-hand side. Isn't that an Amazon Fire Stick?
That's a Fire Stick, yep.
And then the next one is the Apple TV Puck.
Right.
And then the next is a gaming machine, which you can use also to stream. So. Yep.
The next, how comfortable are you with the gadgets is really how it's often portrayed, or how complicated or simple is your remote, and how this information is displayed depending on your service is going to change. And there's examples there on the right.
Yeah, the thing, go ahead, Lynn, sorry.
Just the next slide.
Well, I do want to say something about that though. It's really amazing to me, and I've come across this with lots of friends and family. You look at those two remote controls. The one on the left is the one everyone uses today. It's the one for satellite or cable TV. The one on the right is the one you use for streaming. Yet the number of people that cannot figure out how to do the one on the right is just amazing. To me, it's like, wait, that thing on the left is like way complicated, way too many buttons. But it really seems like if there's this, I think what happens is it's what you become used to, and you know which buttons to press. And so I think what we may end up doing, if there's an interest in it, is, maybe doing some more follow-up kind of sessions or something just on, okay, how do you use this silly thing? And, we can do more of these kinds of sessions in the future. So, and then the other thing I would say too, on the right-hand side, where you got the screens that you're going to be dealing with, that's the other thing that people get confused by. They don't know how to navigate that one on the bottom, which is the one that the streaming looks like. Like, you've got to kind of pop down and move through apps to find stuff, as opposed to the one on the top, which is your typical, satellite TV or cable TV interface, where you're just looking at days of the week and times of the day and channels. You're just kind of scrolling through that. Now, I know that there are apps that mimic what that thing on the top looks like for cable and TV, for folks who are more comfortable with that. I didn't put one of those in the reference sheet, and I can try to find that if folks would like that. But it's just, to me, it's just amazing how hard this transition is for some folks. And I think it's because they get used to something, and yeah. So
I have a question. I have DirecTV. What is that going to do to me when internet comes through? Am I going to drop that?
I'll defer to you guys, but
Sure.
I have an opinion.
Yep. So I think if you have DirecTV today, I think you have the opportunity to save a considerable amount of money and get the same choices. And I'm going to take you back a few slides here. The streaming live TV. What you have with DirecTV is primarily a live TV platform, as are all of these. And each of these will run much, much less expensive than your current DirecTV or dish.
Go to the video cost comparison slide, Bob.
Yep.
Where you just, your statement, and just show Susie what, look at what those prices on the left-hand side or the right-hand side are way different than what you pay for direct or dish, right? 65, 75, 80, you're probably paying more than that for your direct TV or your dish TV.
And you're getting your local channels, and you're getting the specialized channels that you've been familiar with all your life.
Yes. Yeah, those channels, not all of those live services have all of the local channels. Like, I think some of the Sling plans only have like maybe CBS and NBC, but not ABC. But I guarantee you, YouTube TV, Hulu Live, and Fubo all have every one, ABC, sure, NBC, CBS, and Fox local channels for $65, $76, and up to $80 a month. So, Susie, my opinion?
I'm looking for it.
I can't wait. We got in the mail, got one piece of mail yesterday. Guess what it was? Dish TV. Dish TV.
Right.
Joni laughed and she said, well, I know where that's going, in the recycle bin. So we're not doing that. And
Well,
I,
what
you
about
know,
with
Bob
myself?
can't talk about a lot like this bluntly as I'm maybe, but as a
No, I
neighbor,
appreciate it.
like, get rid of it.
Yep.
As soon as you have this,
Okay,
get rid of
I
it.
have cell phone, Telcom as my cell phone.
Yeah,
Is that gonna be part of this?
I think this is a great segue.
Sure, we do. So we do offer a discount if you have both your cell phone and your broadband with us. We don't bundle our TV with it. And the reason why, and you, when you look around, you know, I think the Insight plans, the Insight TV plans will be competitive, but we encourage you to look. What drives the high cost of TV is the content charges. And clearly Insight does not buy them in the same volume as Spectrum and some other folks do. So you can take a look at our plans. If they work for you, you have the advantage of having one place to call. You dial 611 from your phone, you can ask about your internet, you can ask about your home phone, you can ask about your cell phone, and you can ask about your TV, and you know you'll be talking to somebody in Green Bay. You know, that's the advantage of bundling it all with your Cellcom service, is that 611 number.
But it's
Yeah,
not, you don't have to do it.
But you don't have to. Exactly. You have all kinds of choices.
Yeah.
These are often referred to as over-the-top solutions. What that means is once you have internet, you can buy other things from other people, not your internet service provider necessarily, but you can buy other things from other people and get those services, your TV service, and what we'll talk about in a minute, your phone service, you can get those over the top.
One last question because I have to leave. I have my internet through what used to be DC broadband.
Yep.
Mhm.
Is that what this is going to be? Or that can continue to be a separate?
Door County
Okay.
Broadband is a different provider than Insight Cellcom
Okay,
for internet.
okay.
And they're continuing to offer service and trying to switch to a new type of service that is very similar, not exactly the same, but similar to the project we're doing with Insight Cellcom in Bailey's Harbor.
Cause I have the cheapest plan for like $60 a month and it's slow and I don't care.
Right, right.
But so, you know, I just wondered if that was, who is taking over anything, combining it or?
Insight Cellcom and Bailey's Harbor Township are partnering on this project
Okay,
that is going to guarantee, this is one of the most important factors, and keep this in mind when you're talking to folks. Every address will have access. That's when, before this project's done, every address will have access to this high-speed network. Door County Broadband is going to provide service in places in Door County in a similar, not exactly the same, but a similar high-speed fashion. They're not necessarily partnering with the town of Bailey's Harbor to do that, however, which doesn't mean, I think where they are partnering with certain towns, like there are some other towns that have decided they're going to go with Door County Broadband. They are making guarantees in those locations to provide access to every address. We're doing it with this partner in Bailey's Harbor. So they may show up in Bailey's Harbor. I would be surprised if they weren't in Bailey's Harbor because they're right up the street.
well, right up to
So-
me. I can see it.
So they're probably going to do something here.
I
but-
got a notice the other day saying that they were gonna do something. I didn't
So-
understand it.
There you go. This project is the one the town is supporting in terms of, we're gonna guarantee that every one of you, you will have access to high-speed broadband and not. There may be a couple addresses that need to do it wirelessly because they're surrounded by water,
Oh, yeah.
just saying, although we still have to figure all that out. But the idea is everyone will have a fiber connection available to them,
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Going back to the live TV station,
yes.
you said like Hulu would have ABC, CBS, NBC. Will they also have like HGTV, ESPN, the things that we get now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Bob, pop to your one with all the tiny little
Sure.
icons on.
Yeah, so just YouTube has 85 channels and all the ones that you listed are there. Hulu Live does as well. You can,
There, oh, there you go.
these
You
are
can
all
kinda
the,
see those icons.
yeah, these are all the stations I get with my subscription. I get all of these stations.
So So, I'm just reading CNN, Food Network, HGTV, OWN, TNT. I mean, there's just, the History Channel. I mean, these live streaming services will have lots of these kinds of channels. Not exactly all the same channels, which is why I said what I said about, well, maybe you want to open up that spreadsheet thingy and just kind of look through it, or go on the website for the services and they will tell you which channels are on them.
Okay.
How do you access the
Would like
spreadsheet?
Valley Sports,
Hang on, one here?
would like Valley Sports Wisconsin be on there?
It is. Yep.
Yeah,
Brewer games and Bucks games.
yes, they would be on one of these services. Like I get, our kids, our daughter and son-in-law have Fubo. We didn't say this either, folks, but you don't have, you can get you can put 6 people on an account.
Right.
So if your kids have this, you can jump on their account. That's what we do for Disney. The only one we buy ourselves is Netflix and Passport. I think Fubo, Disney, Apple, Hulu, we're using our kids' accounts, and that's because our kids are doing better than we are and they like a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. So it's and they like us, so they let us do it. But anyway, the point is, sometimes you don't even have to buy them if you share the account with someone. And I know that Fubo is great when it comes to sports. That's where I always watch Packer games, and I can certainly see Brewer games. I think Bucks are on there too. I'm not a basketball fan, so I don't know.
How do you access the spreadsheet?
That link right there, when you open that up, there's another link. It says, click here to open this spreadsheet to compare all the channels. It's in there.
How do you access
See,
that?
that's what he's asking, how to access.
Is there a printout of that?
We will make sure this is available, at least on the, Haley and Katie, don't get angry, but we're gonna make sure we try to put these on the town website. So,
If you go to YouTube and you type in Bailey's Harbor Broadband, your last one was on there.
the video was, that's because the library recorded it and put it up. That's
So
there.
I went to George County, Bailey's Harbor Library, and I didn't see it, it was just a book club, but when I went to
Yeah.
and put in Bailey's Harbor Broadband, it came right up.
I don't know that they'll be able to click a link though on that video.
Oh.
That's the issue. So we need this slide deck to be available for them. So
Maybe
I would
Tracy
offer that you give me your contact information, I'll email it to you.
there you go.
Great.
And once I email it to you, just click on it and it goes wherever.
Sure.
Okay.
But we're also gonna work on getting it posted to a website. So,
I'd like a piece of paper.
all right. Shall we finish up with calls, phones?
I think we should just stay and see if there's any more video questions. And
Okay.
just say, anybody has any other video questions? All right, fantastic. So we're going to talk about how does my phone service change once I have high-speed broadband fiber-based internet. Okay, we're going to talk about Wi-Fi calling from your cell phones, and if you really are attached to your current phone, how do you make your current phone just continue to work? And then we'll talk about some voice over IP calling, which is really an option you don't need to consider. The last section here, it's really more of a techie, geeky kind of discussion, in my opinion. It's nothing you have to do to keep your life going. We're going to talk about how to keep your life going just fine on the first 2 slides. So whether you have Cellcom or whether you have another carrier, you now have the option to do what's called Wi-Fi calling. And once you turn this option, and you can call 611 on any carrier and ask them for help, or you can go to the store and Bailey and help me out. Sister Bay, the store in Sister Bay, and they'll help you as well. You turn on Wi-Fi calling. Probably not a great option for most of you today because the Wi-Fi at your home isn't any better than your cellular signal. But in the future, when you have this great broadband at home and your Wi-Fi in your home is fantastic, you never have to worry about poor cell coverage in your home again, because you will be able to just without doing a thing, without even thinking about it, once this setting is set, your phone will leverage that Wi-Fi in your home, that broadband that you have, to deliver that call, to both receive calls and send calls. So really, if you've been suffering with bad cellular reception in any way, shape, or form, once you have Wi-Fi and broadband in your home, this issue will go away in your home. And it's like I said, it's just a setting on your Android phone or a setting on your Apple phone. All the carriers support it. And if you have any questions, call 611. If you happen to have a Cellcom phone, that'll be answered by a live local resident Northeastern Wisconsin person, but it will be answered regardless of who your carrier is. And they will help you and get this set up at the time. And again, maybe not a great option for you today if your home Wi-Fi isn't any better than your cellular signal, but a really good option once we have this broadband.
And
One more question.
I just want to emphasize the importance of having that office in Sturgeon, in Sister Bay and Sturgeon Bay. That was really important to us too, when we were thinking about all of this. It's like, people are still going to want to go somewhere and talk to a human being face to face.
Right.
And they do have that, both of those offices. So I think that's a plus.
How many devices can you have active off one feed? I mean, we've got like 5 TVs and
Yeah.
God knows how many laptops.
Can I answer it?
Sure.
Limitless. I mean, essentially, you could put anything you possibly could imagine on your home network with the minimum plan of 300 down and 300 up.
And they could all stream their own things at the same time.
Absolutely. There's Bob, do you want to say it differently?
I don't want to get any more geeky than that. I think let's just leave it at hundreds instead of limited, but yes, hundreds. So depending on,
Like if you're gonna put, like, I know that we put on a camera on the doorbell with the camera thing. Some people are putting up cameras around for security. Some are putting them up just to watch the animals and the birds. I mean, any of that, smart thermostats,
absolutely.
smart lights, any of that kind of outlets, any of that stuff, you're gonna have plenty of capacity to
Absolutely.
do your entire house that way.
You reach
Exactly.
one to the other wirelessly within your house?
Yes, yeah, and how you hook them up will differ a little bit from like the light bulb to the outlet, to the doorbell. But if you're buying some of the same brands, like if you buy all the Google Nest kind of stuff, well, you go to that app and it's just like, okay, you want to connect that one thing? Here, click the button and it connects it with your router. That's what it's doing. Bluetooth, through Bluetooth. That's basically what it's doing. And the same thing happens for every other device that you're hanging around the house or what have you. So we've got several of these outlets, smart outlets, and we've just plugged them into some lights and, into an outlet. You just plug it in the outlet and then you take your cord, you plug it into that. And then that thing is smart and you can put it on a schedule and all that. You know how we used to use the kind that you'd set the little teeth on it to say, oh, at 10 o'clock turn on and at, whatever, turn off. These smart things work exactly the same way. They're just not that. They're digital and they connect to your Wi-Fi. And
And they use almost no internet. One nice segue is we do have a session coming up, Kurt, where we'll talk about the installation process. And we'll talk about optimizing the Wi-Fi experience in your home, because it's if you're going to rely on Wi-Fi in the far corners of a very large home, you're going to need to think about that as you install the Wi-Fi in your home. So the capacity, as Kurt said, is way more than you might ever need. But that Wi-Fi signal has some limitations that you need to potentially extend if you're relying on it in the in the far lower corner of the basement and then the second story balcony. You may need to extend that Wi-Fi signal, and we'll be talking about that in a few weeks.
Where are we
All right.
at as far as where the line is going?
Let's let him finish this, Susie, and then
Thank you.
I'll let you know where we are with that.
What if I like my home phone just the way it is today? What if I just want to pick up my phone? I want to hear a dial tone. I want to touch the numbers. I got it. It works for me. Can I keep that? And you have lots of choices for keeping it. And the simplest, because we are the provider, is just the Cellcom home phone. It's $19.95 a month, but what's different about it than any other solutions that I'm going to talk about, it is not an over-the-top application. It is in under the wire application, if you will, which what I mean by that is it's extremely high quality phone call. You will have a very, very high quality call, regardless of anything that's going on in your network, our network, or anybody else's network. With the speed you have, quality is not generally an issue anyway. That's a technical geeky thing I just said. With the high speed that you have here, 300 megabits by 300 megabits, you're not going to have to worry about what we call quality of service. But just for what it's worth, when our technicians come, if you want to keep your phone number and you want to keep your phones working, you can buy the Cellcom home phone. It'll all be plugged in. At the end of the day, when the installer leaves, your phones will work exactly as they do today. No difference.
You're talking a cell, like a landline.
I'm talking about your home phone landline service. You can do that. The other option you can do is you could leave it at home phone landline service with your current provider and nothing will change. Nobody's coming in and pulling out copper cables anywhere at this time. So if you want to keep it there, you can. If you want to bundle it on your bill with your Cellcom internet, your Cellcom cell phone, you can have it all bundled in one place there. There are some other options that you can look at. One is if you're in a place, and we do this in a lot of places where folks have good cellular reception and it's difficult for them to get a landline experience. That may not be the situation here, but you can use what's called a Cellcom home phone replacement. And basically this is a cell phone that is in a cubish box that gets placed in your house and gets wired to your home phones, and your home phones continue to work. And that's an option if you happen to be in a place with good cellular service and you're tired of your current landline provider. This is an option. It's also a specialized option for people who somehow got separated from their wires. You know, they want a home phone in a thing they have out and back, and they don't have wires out and back. That kind of thing. It can do that kind of thing for you. And then there's a service, and one of them is called UMA that you can look at. And this gets kind of geekier. It's a little bit edgier solution, but it allows you to keep your home phones and pay a little less per month. You just need to go to the UMA website and buy the service, and we'll get to a cost comparison. But the important thing is, if you really like your home phone, your landline service, if that's important to you, it's all going to stay, and it should be cheaper when you're done. Regardless of these solutions, they're likely cheaper than what you're paying today. If you want to really geek out and start doing some VoIP internet calling, you have that option. A lot of you are doing it today without thinking of it as voice over IP. You're using FaceTime today with your kids. You're using Skype with your kids. You're already using a VoIP internet calling. This is like the distinction between on-demand versus live in a situation. When you're FaceTiming with somebody, you generally can only FaceTime. You can generally only FaceTime with other people who are on Apple devices that have FaceTime. When you're Skyping with somebody, you can generally only Skype with other people who have Skype subscriptions. These services, they work on smartphones, tablets, computers, and you need an internet connection to make them work. There are some specialized, highly specialized VoIP phones. You don't need to go there. You don't need to do that. Really, if this is important to you, you just download the app and sign up for the service. If you have an Android phone, you probably already have Google Meet, and you can do Google Meet with somebody. If you have an Apple phone, you can do FaceTime. So you're probably already doing this without thinking about it too much. Here's a bunch of popular ones that are out there. I personally use Skype, Google Meet, WhatsApp, FaceTime, and Zoom in my life. and others. And it's because I know people who are on WhatsApp, and that's the way we communicate with them. And I know people who have Apple phones, and I use FaceTime to do them. When I lived over in Europe for a while, I became a Skype user because that's what we used over there. Yeah, so it gets that way. Again, I think you can approach all this relatively passively unless you have a huge interest in it. You can approach this kind of thing passively and know that it's out there. And if somebody says to you, I'd like to have a video call with you, but would you download WhatsApp? Again, if you're on Cellcom, you can call a Cellcom store or the 611, they'll help you do it somewhere, but it's just in your app store. Download the app and you'll see how to get on there. And this talks about how to download. So you launch the App Store, Play Store on the device, you search for it by name, click install, and then you generally have to create a subscription to these services.
Many of which are free.
Many are free if you don't want to tie it to a phone number. If you just want to make calls, FaceTime calls to FaceTime people, Skype calls to Skype people, WhatsApp calls to WhatsApp people, all of that is free. All right, so now, if you want to just get a home phone working, I gave you the wrong price for it. It's $9.95 per month for the Cellcom phone. I forget whether there's taxes and I know there's taxes, whether there's some of these service charges on top of that. So there might be a little bit more, and that will keep your landline working just as it works today. And it's only available if you have the internet through us. The Cellcom home phone replacement, we talked about that. That's $20 a month, and that uses the cellular network to keep your home phones working. It's really more of a specialized thing for some people, but it's out there. FaceTime, Google Meet, Skype, these are all free in network. By that I mean, if you FaceTime with FaceTime people, Google Meet with Google Meet people, Skype with Skype people, you don't pay anything to do that. If you go to the last line, Skype phone, if I want to use Skype to actually make phone calls to other people who have landlines and people who have 800 numbers and things like that, I can use my Skype app to do that. And I pay $2.95 a month for that phone number. And then there's a plan that I'll have to subscribe to. Ooma is kind of the same thing. There's a one-time thing. It works with your existing phones, or it works as an app only. You pay $80 one time, and then after that, you pay $5 a month. Again, that's a little geekier, but just so people know it's out there as a service.
So Bob, I want to interject at this point and just say, I believe most people with access to high-speed internet will be able to get by with using their cell phone and their cell plan for phone calls, truly just calling it a phone call, plus that third row, which is a free service. I believe that's what most people will do. So you,
that's how I live my life.
Call, you'll use your cell phone, your smartphone, whatever. And if you want to do video, you can do one of those things in the third row on this, or any computer that you have in your house or something like that as well. That you really do not need a landline with this network. That's my personal opinion. That's another cost, just like the Dish TV or the Direct TV. Get rid of that. You don't need to pay for that. That's my opinion, just my opinion.
And that's the way I live my life. That's the way everybody I know lives their life exactly. If they have broadband, that's the way, a good broadband, that's the way they live their lives. I couldn't agree, Kurt. We do know of many people, and a lot of these people who are very, very comfortable with a home phone, a landline phone. And just important for people to know that doesn't have to go away, and it doesn't have to be as expensive as it is today.
Yeah.
It's a comfort thing. Yep.
Yep.
The first one.
So I don't put slides together, but people with marketing background and stuff do that. And so here's the Cellcom bringing it all home slide for all of you. All right. Kurt or Wayne, do you want to grab this one?
Yes.
Either way.
This is a comparison between what the survey said and what the new proposal is going to be. Is there any questions on any of this here? Because this is, especially the left side of it was a matter of choice of the individuals that were surveyed. And this is the information they gave you. Because I know that there are some that'll say, well, my current internet's much cheaper than that. Then you have to look at, well, what's the quality of your current internet? How can you get on it? To answer one of your questions, you asked how many devices can you put on there? On a simple network that's set up that you can add things, there's about 250 addresses available. If you go above that, it gets really complicated. And 250 is a lot of devices. And you'd have to consider your speed. So this should cover anything that's that comes up.
And the survey, Wayne, we've got over 325 responses now to that survey. And so these are averages, if you will, based on what people were telling us. So it's, I think it's not everybody, but it's probably pretty close to a lot of reality for a lot of you.
And there's a lot of room in that $65 difference. Yeah. And in both directions.
Yeah, and in this assumption, right? I mean, we're assuming you're going to pick, one live streaming channel and maybe Netflix or something with it or something like that, and then not use a landline. That's you use a free service. So again, our point with this is just to say it's kind of foolish for us not to invest in making a network like this available to everybody, because at the end of the day, there may be a slight increase in our tax levy, but there's actually going to be a whole bunch of savings to you in your pocketbook if you adjust what you're paying for today. So, and you're going to get this much better experience.
And I'd like to address another thing that was said so that you understand fully picture. You don't have to have a landline. You can rely on your cell and it'll do everything you want. Keep in mind, if there's ever a crisis, cell lines the traffic on a cell line is used up much faster than it is on a landline. Just so you understand that. Well, I threw away my landline, now I can't get through. That it is possible, but typically it's only a crisis. Someone raise their hand?
Yeah. Will CapTel be available through this system? I have a CapTel phone right now because of a hearing problem.
I think your CapTel will only work on the two options up here. Let me get to the page. So the first option, your Cellcom home phone will work. And
that's
your
$9.95 a month.
Yeah, and then your keep your current provider option will work as well.
Because right now, we live deep in the woods, our cellular reception is pretty poor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But the whole idea here is if you have a fiber connection to your house, your phone is now connecting to your Wi-Fi router as opposed to an antenna somewhere above the trees.
Right.
Conceptually, that's what's going on. All it has to do is to connect to your router in your home, as opposed to trying to find a signal over the air to some antenna that's mounted somewhere.
right now, I'm experimenting with a neck loop using Bluetooth,
Sure.
and that's phenomenal. So it's like
Yeah.
when I go into an auditorium that has
Yeah.
a loop,
Those hearing loops are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our libraries were installing them all over the place a few years ago.
Okay, Bob.
Anything else?
No, I think this is a segue into your promo for your next presentation, Kurt.
Well, I want to do that, but I also want to, I think maybe there was a question here.
Are there any data passes, unlimited data?
Unlimited data. Unlimited data. Susie, your question about where are we with the project?
My house.
Everybody. Bob, did you hear that? Susie wants it next.
need the money.
But, we've got the pilot project running from down Frogtown, from the intersection of Frogtown E and the highway, down Frogtown and then south on Chapel Lane into Bjorklinden.
Mhm.
And so I collaborated with, Lawrence University and us to figure out how to do a cost share on that. And I know 30 parcels, literally tomorrow, the very first house will be activated. So we're very excited about that. The rest of the town, the goal is to try to do as much as we possibly can in 23, given a couple of constraints. One is just getting people to do the work. Another is, we do have to concern ourselves with the utility company and making sure their work is done, if we're going on poles. So we're gonna try to think about things from what has to be done on poles and what can be done underground and that kind of stuff as a way to kind of figure out how to phase and plan. But again, our hope would be to try to get everything done by the end of 24, which was always our goal, was 2 years. We wanted 2 years at the most, if we can. Now, I'm gonna say that and everyone's gonna go, well, you told me 2 years. Well, stuff happens, that's all I'll say. Stuff does happen. And one of the things that's happening is everybody's doing this now. So there's a capacity issue about just trying to get people to do things. And we need to get moving here in order to line up those resources. And that's what Bob's team and the committee are gonna be chatting about actually tomorrow. That kind of stuff. So I hope that helps. And we'll keep giving updates, we promise.
Kirk,
Well, anyway,
she's had her hand
I
up.
have a question.
yeah,
I think I missed this. If we need to refer back to this presentation as we are thinking about it, we can get that in the library.
the library is recording this. Tracy's on, they're recording it and they're posting it to the library YouTube channel. So if you go to the library website, you will find it on their website, the recording. The other thing that was promised is posting the slides somewhere so you can get at the active links that are on the slides. So we will get that posted somewhere and let you all know as well.
There isn't a hard copy available.
If you need a hard copy, is that what you were saying you wanted? You wanted contacts for who to,
Well,
or you were gonna send the?
yeah, I'll send out,
Yeah,
a link
but-
and I can include a hard copy,
Great.
the PDF hard copy, or.
Well, I think that's not what, I think you're
Well,
asking
that would work.
physically the paper, you want the
Well, I
paper?
could print it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So I can do both presentations, take this one and.
Yep.
Last week.
It's just
Perfect.
easier to share it with other
Right.
people who
Yes.
have questions and who
Yes.
weren't able to be here.
yeah.
Because now it's just kind of a,
So again, let me be clear. We're doing two things. We are putting up the recorded video on the library site, and we will find a place. I just haven't gotten, I go up there and I'll ask Tracy right now, or Katie and Haley, can I put it on the town website? I haven't confirmed that, but that would be another place where we can put the slides. Yes, all the materials.
And if you want, give me your name, email address, optional phone, and I'll get it mailed to you no later than tomorrow. I would say today, but no later than tomorrow.
The special offer for your being here in
Yeah.
person is a separate mailing from Wayne. Yeah.
Okay, two questions.
Yeah,
All right. So from what I, hearing you, Chapel Lane and Frogtown
Frogtown,
Road to E.
correct.
Okay. How
Not
about,
Frogtown Road North, but Frogtown West, heading west.
my question from a lot of my neighbors that aren't here is, would the next step be to go north on Frogtown? Or yeah?
I absolutely cannot make that commitment at this
Okay.
point. Nope. I mean, it's just, they've got the engineering stuff and now these guys have to figure out what
Where to
makes
go
the
from
most
there.
sense.
Okay.
Because the other part of this is literally trying to manage the cost down as well, while we think this is a reasonable cost, given that, we spent 3 million for a fire station, we spent the equivalent of 12 million for a sewage treatment facility.
Right.
We think it's in the ballpark of an investment like that. We still want to manage our costs down as much as we can. So the engineering work is going to help us with some of that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
This is a question from Bob. I moved here from Illinois and I had to keep my phone, and I had Verizon as a carrier before. I did go to Cellcom to see if I could get my, carrier changed to Cellcom. And they said I couldn't keep my phone number. So I went to T-Mobile. I was wondering, since if we go, my family goes to this broadband project, if I could get my cell phone, since you're involved with this, with broadband.
Sure. So I hope 9 months from now, I'll be able to tell you and everybody else that comes from Chicago or Milwaukee or Los Angeles that they will be able to keep their phone numbers. That is an active project that I've introduced at the company that they are working on. So it is definitely, so while our service works nationwide as well as anybody's in Door County, we believe that it's the best quality service out there. We do understand that we currently do not support phone numbers outside of northeastern Wisconsin native phone numbers.
I gotta say, that is correct, because my neighbors have Cellcom. They don't have any drop calls. I do. Keep working.
And I love to hear that. We love that. We've added a lot of capacity in Door County this year, and we'll be adding more next year. It's constant battle. I wish I could say there were no drop calls in Door County. It is a tougher area to serve over time because of those ridges as you get near the shoreline, right? So, but we do believe we have more capacity than anybody else in Door County. And we did invest in Door County in 2022, and we'll be investing again in 2023 with more capacity, more towers.
Because I have an escarpment in my backyard, and that is the big problem.
Sure.
I have a signal booster up on the top of my house now, so that I can at least deal with some of that, but it's still really bad.
Yeah, it's tough.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, I have a comment. I want to say that what Bailey's Harbor has been doing in progressing this broadband is very impressive. You're doing an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
other thing is these workshops, I think they're excellent.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah, we should
And I'm very impressed with the work that you all are doing. Bob, Wayne, Kurt, very nice.
Well, I appreciate that. This is Rob Edmondson. Rob's the chair of the Broadband Committee in Jacksonport, and he is equally as involved with the work there in Jacksonport. So kudos to you as well. You're doing
Well,
a
the
great job.
sharing that's gone on between all of the
Yeah.
towns, and Kurt and his effort has been really leading the pack in all of this. His willingness and sharing the information, stuff like this, it has been very helpful to all of us, and we appreciate
Well, I
it.
appreciate that. We just know how absolutely critical this is for everybody. My experience was in schools and libraries, and let me tell you, the pandemic just was a
Yeah.
bugger for kids and families. And so it's a passion to get this solved, and we're gonna fix it here in Bailey's Harbor. You're gonna fix it in Jacksonport, and Bob's trying to fix it everywhere else in Door County. So. But anyway, thank you, Rob. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Segue to the next session again. Next session is next Wednesday. That'll be the Door County Medical Center and the libraries. We'll follow that one with Bob talking about the installation process and some of the stuff he was alluding to today. As well as we've got a session coming up on privacy and keeping yourself safe online. And then we're also doing one on affordable broadband. So there's some dollars available to help make it affordable for folks who can't. So we're going to do a session on that. And then we're going to wrap it up with some information about online financial services and banking and government things and what have you. So that's kind of the rest of the shows. So
And for
thank you
small
all.
business.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep. All right.